and outline the activities that are going to be done. We're going to fill a vacancy for Member of Parliament, and there is a city division councillor also for one of the wards. In Soroti City, the same area. So we have a parliamentary by-election and a local government council by-election, and we're set to release the program today. We have disseminated it. It has started going down. We're counting down on 60 days within which you have to organize the elections. And from when we start and when we end, elections will be on the 28th of July. So when we come back, we'll be doing activities like campaigns. Of course, that is preceded by nominations. And before that, of course, you update the register. And the update will be on 10th to 14th of June. So we've released the program, and we are hitting the ground. We are set to go, Soroti.
Well, that is a poll for you. If you're in Soroti and you're one of those voters who need to go to understand what is on the ground, go to your polling station or go to your sub-county. All these details are there. So, Paul, today we're talking about the women councils and committees. Previously, we never used to vote for these people. It was by elective colleges and all. When did this change?
Yeah, actually, the women councils and committees have been in place. They were established by the National Women Councils Act. And if you remember, these committees have been there. There were even electoral colleges for election of woman member of parliament before they became, you know, by universal adult suffrage, where all of us participate in the election. So, yeah, there is an act that establishes a structure for women that goes straight from the village level and progresses up to the national level. And that is the women councils and committees. The councils being the membership at the village level or at the parish level or at the sub-county. And then the executive committee being the elected leaders. So by law, women have a structure, and the structure, the leadership is elected through elections. You know, we go through electoral processes to determine those leaders at the village level, at the parish, sub-county, district, and at national level we have an executive committee for the National Women Council. So that's what we are doing. We are going to be organizing and conducting.
But why are you organizing these elections after the general elections? Couldn't we have done it at once when we're having the 2020 elections?
No, the women councils and committees elections are governed by a different law, if I could say that. Their term of office is 4 years.
Why 4 years?
That's the existing law. The current law for the National Women Councils Act sets the term of office to be 4 years. And like you noted at the beginning, we last held the elections in 2018, and their term of office is coming to an end this August, and for that reason we released the program. That's the law as it is, 4-year term. And we are conducting the election because the term of office is expiring. It doesn't move with the general elections because it even uses a different structure and mode. If you could say it uses a different register, it doesn't use the National Voters Register. It is a village-based election. It's residence-based. So we, unlike the register where you can, if we're here at NTV Village, this is our village, or let's say this is our residence. We can register as voters within this parish, which is Nakasero Parish, and we can be put at any polling station within the parish. Or we can decide and say, well, Andrew, your home district is what? Mitiana. You can register to vote from your home district. In the case of elections like this, administrative units elections like else1, women councils elections, you vote based on your residence.
Not where you want.
Not where you originate or where you reside. You don't have that option. Or not where you originate from. So for that reason, we do not use the National Voters Register. We use a village residence register.
What is the margin of error of tampering with the village residence register? Because I mean, how do you align it that there are no errors? Because I mean, some people die, some people move, and they go, but yet they still have businesses in that area. I could move from my village or in my residence, I shift to another parish, but I still have a shop in that particular parish. Am I allowed to vote because I'm still within that register and they can still see me around?
Well, we talk about residence, the moment you meet the requirement for residence, and when you talk about residence, you mean where you ordinarily reside, because some people say, I have many residences.
I am a Hajj.
I have many residences, but we say, but there is a family home. There is a home which is known where they say that this is
this is the Chamagin,
this is Andrew's.
Yes.
Yeah, you know. So we look at that, and it's also fair that you decide what is really your residence,
Okay.
where you will officially your official residence, and so what you've talked about is sorted out by basically that simple formula: residence. Where do you ordinarily reside? And the moment we determine that, whether you work in another place, you work in Kampala, but your residence is Luwero, that is your residence, and that's where we will register you. But the register is compiled.
By who?
The register is compiled by the Electoral Commission, which is why we are going to compile a register of female Ugandan citizens over 18 years and above.
How do you compile?
And we're going to compile it basing on the villages where they reside. And
so your teams are going to go on ground and register?
We're sending teams out to all the 71,000 villages across the country to compile a register of each village. And each village will have a village registration team, a village election official, who will compile the register and capturing the particulars of all those people who present themselves, who meet the requirements for registration. Ugandan citizen, 18 years and above. And when you say Ugandan citizen, that's someone who can provide proof, either by producing a national ID card, because the national ID card shows that you've gone through a verification as a citizen.
So if I don't have a national ID, I don't qualify to vote for
We
this?
cannot determine your citizenship if you do not have in Uganda, the only way to determine that someone is a citizen is if they have been verified by the agency that is by law established to verify citizenship, and that is the National Identification and Registration Authority, which issues you with a NIN, a national ID number, and a national ID card. So you must be able to produce that. If you are not able to produce proof of citizenship, which is those two, then we cannot take you onto the register, because this is an election. This is an election that also progresses from the village up to the national level. What if you progress and you are not eligible? And there would be a big problem. The judge will not be happy with it.
The latest from the LCs that don't validate one to be a citizen, because someone lost a national ID, but she wants to participate in this. And the entire community, they know that she comes from that particular residence. But she still has a glitch of a national ID that went missing or lost. So
and you have your national ID number or proof of registration where we can do a search. Because I think it is important. You can't just come and say, I lost my ID card. And then there is no proof that you even ever registered. But if you've been registered before, we can even extract your particulars if we have your national ID number. So I think it's important that as we go into this exercise, that women who are out there prepare themselves to ensure that their structures are run in accordance with the law. If you do have a village that is composed, or even a committee that's elected which has non-citizens, definitely it will be challenged. First of all, we will not go through the nomination. You will not be registered, and you cannot participate. The requirement is to provide proof that you're a citizen of Uganda.
Which is a national ID.
And we can do that because we've been doing that. National IDs are now part of our identification issues, yes.
As a country. So when are all these activities you're talking about being rolled out, the ones you're saying they're going to be conducted from the village level? You're sending your teams to address over 71,000 kind of villages.
Yep.
When are they starting?
We are starting the compilation of the village residence register, the female village residence register, on the 10th of June, which is this Friday. And we will do that through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So those 4 days, It's a village residence register. And the law says that those who are willing to participate in these elections are the ones that we'll be reaching out to. So I think we've taken into consideration the sizes of villages. We know some of these villages. Where the villages are big, we know we have improvised so that we have a team that can support the registration official. Otherwise, it's a handwritten register. We're compiling it within the village, and then from 10th to 14th, then we will display it within the village, and at the sub-county we'll have the registers. And then at the parish, we have a team that also supports the work. Then we will conduct nomination of candidates basing on that register to fill the 5 positions for the Village Women Executive Committee.
I love that, but there are villages that are known, but they're not registered. I want us to go back a little, backtrack on that. I could have a village where we think, we as a village, that this is Kazobi. We chose our village, and for some reason it is all taken by a village, but it's not gazetted or registered at the district that it is a village. For such people, what are you going to do about it?
I think you're in trouble if your village falls under that category. But to remove all doubt and address such issues, we started, this program was released in February, on 18th February this year. And one of the first things we did was to verify the lists of administrative units, and by that we mean the villages and parishes across the country. So during the month of March, actually from the 16th of March up to the 27th of March, we went out to the districts and working together with the local government structures, the town clerk, the principal, assistant secretaries, the sub-county chiefs. We compared our lists. And this is what we have, what is on the ground. We wanted to look at the names of villages, their location of villages, and to settle issues like boundary disputes over boundaries. No, this belongs here. No, this is our parish. No, this one doesn't belong to us. And such issues, we were able to verify them. We compared them. We harmonized that list, working together the Ministry of Local Government. Because as you know, the Ministry of Local Government is actually the custodian of these administrative units. It's the one that actually establishes them. We don't create villages. So we are satisfied that we did the groundwork over looking at the administrative units across the country, which is why, working together the Ministry of Local Government, we have released a list, a harmonized list, which has 71,255 villages across the country. And this is where we're going to organize and conduct the elections. So if anyone doesn't fall under that, and we've gone through this exercise through March, we've even settled disputes, because there have been issues like that.
Petitions.
Our village doesn't appear on the list. We've addressed them, we've taken them back to Ministry of Local Government, and those that have been confirmed that they were legally established. And by legal establishment, we talk about having a statutory instrument signed by the Ministry of Local Government. We put them on the list. So for the case of Kazo and others that still have, what is not established by official statutory instrument from the Minister of Local Government, we cannot handle that, and that will not be part of our program.
Now that brings me to another question. 9.5 according to 2020 and 2021 general election statistics, the report says we have 9.5 million women registered. And here you are, you're registering again. Why are you doing the same thing? We're just 1 year away. Isn't that a wastage of government resources, government money? I mean, sending these teams on the ground again to register people who are already in the national register, when we have to be kukekereza in this kind of economic times.
In the tough times that we have. The register we used for general elections had 9.5 million women, women or female voters. That is true, and that gives you perhaps an indication of how many women voters we had at that time. Of course, after almost a year, every day someone turns 18. So if you're to update, of course, you would go higher. But like I mentioned earlier, these are two different elections, electoral exercises, electoral processes. And National Voters Register is based on the parish. You can register in a parish to vote at a polling station in the parish of your residence or your origin, which is why some people are in Kampala, they are working. When polling comes, they go back to a village somewhere within their parish of origin, or even their residence. So this election is village-based. Residents and village-based. And so it requires a compilation of a register. And we cannot also make use the other statistics, because that would be like conscripting people and bringing them automatically onto a register. The law talks about willing. The law says willing. Women or females who are 18 years and above and they are willing to be members of the council. So it creates that. That's the law. That's what the law says. So if we take all the women and say, and extract them from the register automatically and say, you belong here and you're on the register, and they are not willing, it can become another issue. So legally it becomes an issue. I didn't want to be on the register. I see. I didn't want to be on the register. So for that reason, we do a completely different electoral process, including compilation of a new register.
So who guides in this? Do you have other village people who are there to guide on who is a resident here or is not a resident?
Well, we have our village election officials whom we are deploying to every district, to every village. And they will have support by supervision teams at the parish level, at the sub-county, and at the district or the city. And of course, they work together with the people. First of all, these are people drawn from those villages who understand the languages. But we've also issued guidelines. The guidelines are very key. You may be there in the village, but you're not a citizen of Uganda. You came from some place, you even near Mzungu, and you speak very good, you know, either Luganda or the local language of the area. It doesn't make you a citizen. So we have guidelines that are clear, which set out the criteria. Who qualifies to be registered? You must meet the following requirements: 18 years and above, citizen of Uganda. And for citizenship, like I've mentioned,
national ID.
National ID is very important, and your national ID number.
Now, who qualifies to contest in this?
First of all,
because now we're having the women there, they are hearing this conversation and they'd love to be a part of it. But who qualifies? Is it the
women? First of all, it must be women.
You must be a woman.
You must be a woman. You must be a woman. You must be a female, a citizen of Uganda, 18 years and above. And also, very importantly, you must have registered. You must have come out willing of your own will to register in the exercise we are going to conduct from the 10th up to the 14th. And we've seen this in previous exercises, this is a progressive electoral process. We've seen it in previous exercises where someone, a woman, a citizen, a resident, comes up and says, I'm interested in participating in these elections. Because they are progressive. They go from the village to the parish, to the sub-county, to the district, up to the national level. Along the way, someone picks interest and says, hey, I want to participate. And they were not registered at the village level. If that is your case, if that ever happens to you, you cannot participate. So who is eligible to contest? A female citizen of Uganda, 18 years and above, and must have registered. Because you cannot come into this election when you're not registered. At any level, you can't come in at LC2, which is the parish. You can't come in at the sub-county. You can't come in at the district, even when you develop the interest at that level. So, which is why we encourage everyone to come and register at the village level, because you may want to be part of it later on as it progresses.
Yeah, you can. Let's look at a scenario here. I am in support of... I support NRM or I support NUP or DP, and I go through to level 1.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the village level. And I now qualify for the sub-county level or the parish level. And when I reach there, I feel I want to change my affiliation or allegiance to my previous party. Am I allowed to, you know, jump out of NRM and I join NUP because now it's possibly has the more better marks to actually go up forward?
No, you cannot do that. You progress with the identity that you came with, or the party that sponsored you.
It is umbrella, it's umbrella.
And sometimes we've seen, especially sometimes you know an independent candidate, and then you come in at the village level, and you progress to the parish, and you progress to the sub-county, and now you are going to the district. And all of a sudden, maybe someone is approached by a political party, or maybe they feel they stand a better chance because now it is the electoral college is becoming smaller. And sometimes people try to change their allegiance. We do not allow that in law. As you entered into the structure at the village level, that's how you progress. There is no there's no opportunity for you to change your color. You can't change.
If you're a woman and you're going to be a part of these elections, part of the councils and the committees, this is an information you actually need, and send it down to more of your peers to understand it. Mr. Kenya, if I had not registered at the village level, can I contest at any other level?
You cannot contest, like I said. One of the requirements for you to participate is that you must have come out and expert willingness to be a member of the council. The council is that group members who are registered at the village level. There's so many, maybe 50 or even 100 women, or maybe 200, depending on the size of the village. And then they elect from among their members, the members of the executive committee, who are 5. So you can't come in if you're not registered and say, I want now to contest to be your chairperson, or I want to contest to be your vice chairperson, or your secretary, or your publicity secretary, or your secretary for finance. So if you want any of those positions, which are the 5 positions, by the way, you need to get onto the register, which we are compiling starting on the 10th up to the 14th of June. Other than that, if you do not do that, you will not have an entry point.
You won't get in.
You won't get into the electoral
You've mentioned
college.
about the 5 positions. I need to know, what are these 5 positions there?
The 5 positions at the village level are the chairperson, vice chairperson, the secretary, publicity secretary, and the secretary for finance. There are 5 positions at the village level.
Now, that brings me to another question. This conversation, ladies and gentlemen, is about the women council committees that are going to be elected very soon, before August, and we have 60 days. Are they 60 days?
Yeah, at the village level, the elections are actually on the 7th of July.
7th of July. We don't even make it to 60 days.
It's just a month to the village elections.
A month to the village elections. And now this brings me to the other question. What are the qualifications of someone to contest for this? Previously, I told you, what does it take for someone to contest? Now, here I need the qualifications.
The qualifications are, of course, you must be registered on the village residence register, female. And you must be female. We already talked about that.
Yes.
18 years and above. If you are sponsored by the political party, you must have the flag, you know, that proof of sponsorship by a political party. You do not have minimum academic requirements for this elective position.
Now, minimum academic qualification.
Yeah, we do not have minimum academic qualifications.
So anyone of sound mind at the age of 18, as long as they're female, they can actually tap in.
And they are registered on that company. They can come into the system.
Wow.
There is no requirement for nomination fees.
So all that matters is the will to lead.
The will to participate. We've prepared paperwork. We've prepared forms. You can fill them and present them for nomination. You do not have to pay a nomination fee. You do not have to do that.
Wow. We're talking about the women council elections that are actually coming through in your communities, in your villages. If you're a woman and you actually know about this, please be part of this. Be participating in these kind of elections, because the change you want can only come if you and I decide to actually participate in this. What does an aspiring candidate collect the nomination from? Do they get it online on your portal, or do they go to the district, or this team that is going on ground to register them with the data intake and, you know, extraction? Do they go with the forms?
We've sent out the forms to the districts, and they will be brought down to the sub-counties. The sub-county is nearer. That is also the place where the nomination will be conducted. So an aspiring candidate can collect nomination forms from the sub-county and then prepare them to fill them as required, and then prepare to present them on nomination day, which is 27th June up to the 1st of July. So that is where they can collect them from. Of course, now with with the internet, of course, we also load them on the website. Nice. And someone can, those who are able to access the internet can actually use that option. It's available.
I love that. Let's emphasize the issue that nomination forms are for free.
The nomination
because what
forms
happens
are for
on
free.
the ground, Paul, you'll be shocked. A village sub-county chief or whoever will come and say every nomination form is 5,000. Or they'll tell you, okay, you go photocopy it yourself at this much.
That would be frustrating. We wouldn't want that to happen, because, and you could take it from me, the nomination forms are collected free of charge from our offices. And I think that's what our women should do. Don't go to any other place other than the office. And that's the message we've also sent out to political parties and organizations which present us with candidates. We say, support them, support the women, the women to participate in this election by making sure that these services come closer to them. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Yesterday, I saw a tweet from the Minister of Health, and the minister said that we are having COVID-19 cases. They seem to be shooting up like the ones in June 2021, and they have the likeliness of the Delta variant. That was the tweet, but she said there is no alarm, no lockdown is coming, but she again cautioned us as a country to wear our masks and sanitize and social distance and all that. How are we going to conduct these elections? Are we going to go the way we did the general elections with the SOPs of COVID-19, or are we just going to go the adult suffrage way, line behind the back?
Yeah, we're going to observe the standard operating procedures for prevention of spread of COVID-19, because COVID-19 is still with us. It's a challenge. It's a big, public health issue. Yeah. And we don't need to let our guard down. So we've emphasized in our communication and in our guidelines that there will be observance of SOPs. And I think we can do this at a village level. We will not, except of course we know some villages have big populations, but we can manage this within the context of our village. So we will require all persons participating in this electoral activity to observe SOPs, that is to wear the face mask, and also to exercise and observe social distancing, and to sanitize, hand wash. And I think now we know these approaches as Ugandans, because we've gone through a very, very difficult time with COVID-19. And for us as the Electoral Commission on polling day, because you talked about the lining up, on polling day we have clear guidelines to our election officials for the day, including an orderly officer. An orderly officer is one who will support the presiding officer to ensure that, because this election is by lining up, so to ensure that there is spacing and there is order. And just to keep us, to remind us, because now we know the danger of COVID-19. So there will be observance of the SOPs. In
the previous election, I think those were the primaries. You saw them in the other political parties, the primaries, or even in the LOC1 chairperson elections we had a few years ago, where people were lining behind. People were giving out money on the lines. Giving out money, that is bribing, and the law does not allow it, right? We have seen people do that on the line when they're lining up, giving people some money, and people are straight to the other line. How is EC going to engage that in this kind of thing, because it's entirely lining up behind?
It's of course a challenge. Voter bribery is a challenge, and
it's wrong.
It speaks to us, to our morality, our values, because it is wrong. It's an offense, an electoral offense, and can be proved, and it can lead to overturning the outcome of an election. So we discourage that, we condemn that. We don't want to see it happen in our circles. So it goes back to all of us, because the way it happens, if for example, like you've mentioned, you wouldn't know if someone is giving someone money to go back home and buy sauce, because it could even be you don't know the relationship with the people.
That could be a husband. But someone coming on the line
and issuing distributing money. I think that's why we have to prevail on security and other people to arrest such people, because they are engaging in an.
Did you arrest some in the previous election doing that?
Of course, the Electoral Commission, when we organize, and that's where sometimes the challenge comes in, they tell us there is bribery going on.
And there are videos on social media.
And we don't have a formal complaint which you can investigate and prosecute.
Come on.
Yeah, really? It happens. It happens. Or a video comes and the elections are over, or anything like that. The Electoral Commission can't prosecute and judge and determine and do everything.
With video is not evidence enough that someone was bribing people.
Electoral Commission can take up a case that is presented with evidence.
This is evidence enough.
Well,
someone was dishing out money.
We are talking about it now. We are talking it to illustrate that these are some of the things that happen.
Yes.
But when such a situation arises, let's be vigilant and document it. And, but for example, where is that happening? Who is that doing that? Electoral Commission has not closed its eyes to issues like this. But I know that, for example, there are some cases that we've looked at, which have been presented, and sometimes they are totally different scenarios. Someone comes and says, this is a video, we found Andrew giving out money and even giving food and all that, and then you realize someone is with their agents or doing that. But it is different if they're in a line and you come. First of all, it is disruptive, then it is an offense. And I've not seen that, a case like that coming or being presented to us, but that is something that can be taken up and even prosecuted. And like I said, if it is proven, the courts of law, it can result to overturning the result of an election.
Wow. The conversation is about the women councils and committees. The elections are actually next month. If you're one of those ladies who is going to vie for the positions, you don't need any academic qualifications. All you need is your national ID, be above 18 years of age, and be a resident of the particular place you want to run for. So we're doing this by lining up. It's not balloting.
Yeah, voting is by lining up behind a candidate of choice at village level, at the parish level, at the sub-county level. Later on, as it progresses at the city, the district, and at the national level, we'll do a secret ballot.
A secret ballot?
Yes.
That is when it gets to the college level.
Yeah, but even here it is a college, because when the election is exclusive to members only,
it's a college model.
It becomes to follows the electoral college model. You must be because this is a special interest group election, so it is definitely electoral college.
So how do villages participate? Now I'm in my village and we're interested. What do we do as a village to participate?
First of all, take note of the dates. We are compiling a village residence register for female residents, from the 10th up to the 14th. Come up and register and express willingness to participate. That's the first step. Then we are going to have a nomination of candidates. Come up and support the nomination of a candidate. Or come and contest yourself. I've talked about the positions. And then, of course, later on, there's going to be some campaigning. Listen to, get to know who are campaigning within the context of a village. And then polling day at the village level is on the 7th of July. You can come up and participate in the choosing your leader at the village level.
Oh, that brings me to one other very, very good question. The language while campaigning. Are we moderating the language as well this time around? How is EC grounded to deal with the violence that emanates usually from this kind of, because lining up has its chaos, it has its challenges. And not only that, the women, given that they're very emotional when they're voting, the chaos, the magnitude of the chaos, I don't sound to be insensitive, but it usually happens. How is EC going to deal with the violence that could come of this entire campaigning?
First of all, we've issued guidelines that clearly prohibit disruptive behavior, use of bad language, language that can excite and incite violence in the communities. We discourage that, and in our voter education messages we are saying do not use language that is abusive, that would incite Andrew's group to come and attack. Andrew is not a female name. And it is group.
Okay, Stella's group to go and attack Hilda's group.
Hilda's group.
Yeah.
So I think that is very important. But also women, we were counting on them to be very, very, considerate and motherly and responsible, like they are, our mothers, and to lead by example, except if the men come in and disrupt them. And otherwise, polling day. Yes, let's allow the women to choose their leaders. Let's support the conduct of a peaceful exercise. Let's not engage in disruptive behavior, like you say, someone coming and joining a line and maybe giving out money and all that. That's not allowed, or even teasing them or abusing them. So the guidelines prohibit all such behavior. We are adults, and we want to say that please conduct yourself in a responsible manner. That's how far we can go. Then the rest is to appeal to our morality. No, and guys, let's be. These are elections, and women are electing leaders at the village level to organize them, to lead them, to coordinate and support their growth and development as women, which eventually benefits their community. Maybe
you need to break it down. Why are these elections extremely important for the women? Because there are those who are saying that I got bruised in the 2021 elections. I don't need to go back into these elections no matter what. But again, on the flip side, they just don't understand the intent of these kind of elections. Why are they important to them?
Well, they're important. First of all, they are established by law. Under Ugandan law, the law provides for special interest groups to organize, and groups that were previously all through historically marginalized, because of their sex, religion, tribal or physical abilities. Remember that was the basis for creating special interest groups in our laws. So first of all, I think it's a good thing to recognize that the law allows women to organize their structures, and the structures are organized through leadership that comes through electoral processes. It's not dictated down upon them. And of course, the LC, the village councils, or rather the women committees, have been a very, very preparatory ground, training ground for many leaders that we have even today, who have come through women councils and committees, who have grown and started exercising their leadership skills through these committees, and they have progressed and come all the way up to even national level. So it's very, very, very good ground for you to get started in leadership, in politics, to pursue a political career, but above all, also by way of development. Development partners who work with women groups, who work with government, and even government programs that empower women. The entrepreneurship program, now the parish development models, all of them approach development and look at groups, organized groups, as points of entry into communities. So these are very, very important exercises. But again, above all, it's your right, and you're exercising your constitutional right to elect your leader.
On Twitter here, Kabanda Dewo is a man, but he tweets and says, are the village election officers facilitated? And if so, how much? I was cheated in the last election. We had those stories of electoral officers who are not well facilitated on ground. Remember that story? Where they say they did the work, but they were not paid in time. Maybe you need to shed more light about that to those who are actually going to be recruited on contracts to execute this role.
We are recruiting temporary election officials to conduct this exercise, first of all, to register the women, and also later on to conduct a display of the register, and then nomination, of course, nomination of officials, and then the polling day. So for all the temporary election officials whom we recruit and who are entered into our system with all their details in place, we pay them. We pay them an allowance. In this exercise, we're going to be paying 10,000 shillings per day. So
because it's village-based.
It's village-based.
Now that brings me to the other question.
So if you've worked 4 days, you know that you're going to get your 40,000 shillings for this particular exercise. And then another exercise, maybe 2 days, another 20,000 comes in. Then polling day and all that. And then at the end of it, you have your 70,000. And in the recruitment, we emphasize that you must be able to have a phone that is working well.
A phone, you mean a smartphone?
Where we can send, because sometimes this is also the best way to pay them. One of the reasons why some people are
not paid
we are finding it hard to pay. Some people who come to work as temporary election officials, either working far away from a bank, or do not have a bank, or it's a very short-term engagement, where you
require all the details,
where the requirements. So although it's good to have a bank account, even us to process through a bank would be another exercise or process.
Mobile money is faster.
So we've been paying electronically, sending on mobile money, and they get it cash. But also to resolve complaints that when Paul's money goes through Andrew, Andrew keeps
I could use it for my own good.
No, keeps a part of it because you're a good man. You don't use it all of it. You just keep a part of it and tax it. So all that was something that we try to resolve by getting authority to pay directly the beneficiary.
Okay. Yeah. That brings me to the question again. Those electoral officers, are they necessarily meant to be from the village as well?
The electoral officers?
Yes.
At the village level, we have 5 elective officers.
Okay.
The chairperson, the deputy chairperson, the secretary for publicity, and the secretary for finance. And those executive committee members to fill those vacancies will be elected from among the members of the council. Those who have registered on the register, they are the ones who will elect from among themselves, those who have presented themselves for nomination. So yes, at the village level, that's it. And then the villages within a parish will also come together and compose electoral college for purposes of the elections at the parish level. This is what I mean. For example, we are in Nakasero Parish. We could say we have 5 villages. So the 5 members per village who have been elected at the village level will be brought together and they will form a college for purposes of electing the 5 members of the parish. So you'll find that people are progressing, and that's how it progresses. Levels. Then, of course, let's say if you use the same figure, the 5 or 6 parishes which are found in the sub-county will come together as parishes. The 5 people per parish will come together to form the college for election of the sub-county committee. And then, of course, if you could just use the same figure, the 7 sub-counties, which are, of course, within the district, will also come together to form the committee for election of the district committee. And then we'll have delegates who will come to the National Delegates Conference in August for purposes of the national election of the National Women Council's Executive Committee. So that's how it progresses from the village level up to the national level.
Going to the national level. How much is this going to cost the taxpayers money? Because, you know, Paul, we are at hard times as a country. Yes, I love it when women go and vote, but I mean, how much is it costing us? Do you mind telling us how much is
this exercise, as I mentioned earlier, already started, so it's already costing us taxpayers money.
Yes.
The entire budget from start up to when we finish and conclude everything at the end of August will be 35 billion shillings.
Was that approved? Did they release the money?
That's money that was provided, budgeted and was provided, because this is a scheduled election. It is a constitutional, you know, election. Right. It is established by law, and we programmed it, we budgeted it, and we said we require so much money, and government provided the funds.
Okay. So when will the LC1 and 2 then be held? Because can we use the same model and we get done with this at once?
Yeah, the LC1 elections will be held in July. If the polling dates will go through the month of July next year.
Okay.
But of course, the preparations are part of what we're doing right now. Because if you know, for example, part of the reason we did the verification of administrative units to look and confirm villages, parishes, sub-counties was also to prepare for the LC1 and LC2 elections. So this coming financial year, which is just days away, we presented to Parliament our proposals and budget for conduct of those elections, and we will be starting on it after the funds are provided and build up to the elections, which will be on a date we will announce in the month of July. The term of office expires in July 2023. 2023. Yes.
That's where we're going to be. Well, it's been an honor to have this conversation with you, Paul. I know it's always going up and about. I'm sure now people are looking at the figures of how much it's going to cost us as a country. But again, it's our mandate to, as media, to audit and look beyond where the lenses can actually go. So just for clarity, to those who have just joined the conversation now, if you could just mention and resound the dates when these elections are going to be, and what is currently on the ground, and where should they go for the nomination forms and all.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. We want to remind women of Uganda and political parties, because political parties present us with candidates. The women of Uganda, that the program is on. We started way back, and now we are going into very critical activities. This week we start the compilation of the village women residence register. It starts on the 10th of June and goes on up to the 14th of June. And come out and participate in that exercise. It's very, very important. And that will be followed by a display, which will be conducted at the village level for 2 days, 23rd and 24th of June. Come and look at the register to confirm that it has the right persons. And then, of course, there will be nomination of candidates, which will be at the sub-county headquarters on the 27th of June through the 1st of July. Then we'll have campaigns within the villages for 2 days, 4th, 5th, actually it's 3 days, 4th, 5th and 6th of July. And then the elections at the village level for the 5 members of the committee will be on the 7th of July. And of course, after that, we'll progress to the parish level, sub-county, district, and up to the national level, the National Women Council's Executive Committee. We call upon the women to turn up and participate in electing their leaders, starting at the grassroots level, and exercise their right to do so, as provided for by the laws of Uganda. Yes.
So that's how it's going to run.
Yeah, sure.
So if you're Ugandan who is a part of this conversation, I really want to thank those who have been on Twitter. I was trying to catch up a little bit of your tweets. Thanks so much for being a part of this conversation. Electoral Commission is, of course, mandated to make sure that it regulates and make sure it runs all the elections on the ground. LOC 1 and 2, they'll be coming next year, sometime in July. That's when we'll be having them. But for all the women, if you're a man and you're out there, please support your wife, your sister, your daughter to go and be a part of this. The change you want in your community, in your village, starts with you. Be a part of that change you want to see. Go participate in this election. This program was powered by the Electoral Commission of Uganda. I'm Andrew Chamagero. Good afternoon.
NTV, turning on your world.